Me and Kusha both started doing our research as well. We would talk to more people from South Delhi. We would go to parties and observe a little bit.
कौन कैसे drink ले रहा
कौन
है?
कैसे क्या कर रहा है?
You know that?
There is one South Delhi girl, Suneeta, where it's like, Suneeta! And then there is South Delhi auntie, who's more like, Suneeta, लाओ Chanel के डब्बे. अब नहीं आता तो नहीं आता हिंदी, क्या करे? Raw mango. Chopper stop. There's a lot of similarities between Mumbai people and South Delhi. They're rich, but they're the understated rich. Like, we don't need to show it off. We will wear all the designer stuff. Like, if you know luxury, you'll know that I'm wearing luxury. My comedy actually comes a lot from my writing. I'm a big introvert in real life. My sense of humor is not like, how a lot of people have such amazing sense of humor that they make you laugh every second. And I love those people, but I'm not that person. Everything is a problem. You say, I love myself, I have self-love. मेकअप क्यों लगाती हो फिर? बिल्कुल नहीं खाते, हवा आएगी उड़ जाओगी.
Oh God.
Stuff like that. But I mean, now it's funny to me because now I don't care. Of course, it can get to you sometimes.
Namaste, Jai Hind. Welcome to another edition of ANI Podcast with Smita Prakash. Today, my guest is Dolly Singh. She's a fashion blogger. She has a site called Spill the Sass, which is very popular among Instagrammers, among people who watch content, which is fun. She's also done a whole lot of videos on South Delhi aunties. She's done something which is very funny, which is Raju ki mummy. And she's met with celebrities. She's acted in films. She's done a whole lot of content, and she comes from a very small town, and from a small town she came to Delhi, from Delhi to Bombay, and has a long way to go. It's interesting to see how a young girl like her has achieved so much in so little a time, and yet she retains that innocence and that vulnerability of small town India. Dolly Singh, I am so happy to have you in my studio today. I've been watching your videos for years together, and secretly, shall I tell you, we are a bunch of friends. We would send these, yours and Kusha's, we would send this and we'd say, yeah, let's guard ourselves. Kabhi ye South Delhi auntie na bane, jis tarah Dolly and Kusha kar rahe hai. And now I have you in the studio with me. My friends are going to be so jealous.
Oh my God, thank you so much. I mean, that means a lot. And I always it's always so fun to see, the variety of audience we've had. Of course, when people come to us in our age group, it's fine. It's like, yeah, we were targeting you. This is our TG, But when it's like the elder people or like people like you or like kids.
I am elder. I'm almost your mom's age, okay? So I am
elephant in the room.
Elephant in the room.
But no, it feels extra special, to be honest, because it's like, okay, we've broken those barriers. Like our content is not just like about this particular 5-year age group, like this bracket. It's going beyond that, know, and kids are liking it, and mothers and fathers are liking it, and it gives you immense happiness, because you're like, oh my God, my content is reaching those people and they're actually enjoying it. So I would take this as a compliment.
Absolutely. I'm going to get to your entire life, how you started and how you began making content, and, your education bit, and, your struggles about what to do in life. I'm going to get to that bit.
Yeah.
But first and foremost, I need that Suneeta. वो कहाँ से आवाज आई? कहाँ से? इधर तो गले से, यहाँ से, नीचे
so
से,
there's two Suneetas. There is one South Delhi girl, Suneeta, where it's like, Suneeta, for the lack of a better word.
Okay.
And she's obnoxious. And then there is South Delhi auntie, who's more like, she's calm, she has a lot of peace in her, she has a lot of money. She does, yeah, exactly.
Guruji.
So it's like, Guruji, Suneeta, lao Chanel ke dabbe. So it's a lot more of this depth to her voice.
This auntie and her daughter Chanayi, they both have that special relationship with Suneeta. Where did that Suneeta come to you from?
So actually, it's very funny because I'm not from Delhi. I never knew. When we started doing South Delhi videos, I had no idea what kind of people we are trying to play, right? And I didn't know what South Delhi, West Delhi, North Delhi. I didn't know these distinctions. For me, Delhi was Delhi. Yeah. And of course, I understand rich, poor, this, that. But I didn't really notice these kind of things before. And for the first 2 episodes, if you see, I'm not really doing much. I'm playing a regular girl. And by the 3rd time, I realized that, wait, I think I'm missing the point. I think I'm not getting it right. And then I was like, where have I seen rich Delhi people a lot? Because I don't hang out with them. I mean, maybe now I do, but like at that point, I had no connection with like the rich Delhi folks, right? So I never had any kind of communication with them, and I was like, where have I seen them? Where have I met them? And the one place I could think of was Emporio, the mall. Where I had only been to, I think at that point, maybe twice. That too because of college. I was in NIF. And I remember being very uncomfortable because I was just surrounded by people with
you were
like
not
lots
carrying
of
a Chanel
exactly.
and a Prada. No,
I was just myself, feeling uncomfortable, just trying to finish my work. But I could, like, what I noticed there was these, you know, classy women with their designer bags, everything that is designer, with their nannies and their didis and their drivers, and everybody wants someone to hold their bags, and then they'll go get a coffee. So that kind of culture I had to go back into, tap into, right? And then I realized that they always have someone to take care of them. And that someone becomes such an essential part of their lives, they don't know how to function without them. And that's where Suneeta came from. Like this girl and even that auntie cannot function without Suneeta. They don't know where everything
but
is.
Suneeta never comes on screen.
Yeah, I mean, Suneeta is a mystery.
No. Right?
Suneeta is a mystery.
Nobody knows who Suneeta is.
Nobody knows. We don't know.
Yeah, but strangely enough, you're not judgmental about either auntie or Shania.
No, I always say I think they're aspirational. Who would not want to be a South Delhi girl? Who would not want to fly in private jets and have a Suneeta all the time? I mean...
Right. And all those handbags. Did you
course.
notice how South Delhi aunties, when you enter a room, first check your bag, check your shoes, and then decide kahan pe slotting karni hai?
I know.
Did you notice that?
I know.
It's so special to South Delhi, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think it's there anywhere else. I mean, you must have noticed it because... you were in Fashion Institute Technology.
Yeah.
So these are things which are noticed immediately, in Delhi.
Yeah.
It's a very Delhi thing.
It's a very Delhi thing because I feel like Delhi, the way the people work here is like if you got it, you flaunt it. So they like to flaunt it, they like to show it off, and then they see whether other people are showing it off or not, right? Or are they showing off real things or fake things?
Oh, that's very important.
So they are very, so their eye is very like sharp in those terms, and I'll give it to them. They own it, and I feel like that also. See, you have to realize that it comes from years of research. Okay, you have to understand the product really well for you to understand whether it's fake or real. And I'll give it to them. Like if they've spent so much time working on that and researching and honing that craft.
No, Dolly, don't you
think?
They're
born into it, of course.
You can't acquire that snobbery essay.
I'm trying.
Okay, you're trying hard. Right? Okay, now let me, before this is my favorite topic, so then I've said, we'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about how you got to that point, right?
Yeah, okay.
So tell me your journey. How did you start, and where did you decide that, okay, this is what I want to do, content making?
Yeah, I think content making was definitely how Bob Ross says, a happy accident. I never thought of really making content as such. I think for the longest time when I was growing up, I always had this dream and aspiration to do some sort of acting or some performance. I always knew that I belonged on the stage.
Now you sound like Karishma Kapoor
I know,
or Kareena Kapoor.
बचपन से acting करने का बड़ा शौक था by
मैं
God.
mirror के सामने खड़ी होके.
I know, but I never said it because I was also a very insecure child. So I think I always kind of hid it inside of me. I don't think I even said it to myself. I have a diary where I've actually written down that I want to be famous, but I don't think I can act, so I think I'll sing. And I was a very bad singer.
Okay.
So
did you tell your mom?
No, never. In fact, I'm. It's such a weird. At home, it's such a weird environment for me and my brother. It's unconventional, I would say, that me and my brother both are very shy at home, and we are very outgoing outside, like in front of strangers, because I feel like there's no inhibition because these strangers don't know you. At school, like these kids are going to know you just for those few hours, and then you're going to go back home. At home, though, your mom is going to judge you, and then she might say things which you might not like.
Homework kar.
Chal homework kar. Ye kya
film
naach rahe ho pura time. Yeah, exactly. So that was always there.
That's typical of middle class families. No, if you ever dare say that you want to go and join
they'll butcher
film,
your
pehle degree le.
Yeah, they'll butcher your talent down, and even if you try to perform, they'll be like, "Kya hai? क्या है ये? क्या कर लोगे तुम इस
जब
टैलेंट?
आंटी वगैरह आते हैं हम बोलते हैं नकल उतारो तो
तब तो तुम नहीं करते हो कुछ. या तब तो तुम बैठ जाते हो उधर. So I never said it out loud. I think it was very internal for me. Then when I was in college, I started a blog, which was a fashion. I was always very
College
interested
is
in
Delhi.
fashion. College is Delhi.
You wanted to get out of small town.
For sure. I think all small town people will relate. At least at that point, I really wanted to get out of that town. And, you feel like that
Nainital, so
kuएं का
pretty. Why did you want to leave?
I know, but when you live in those places, I think you don't realize how pretty it is. I've only kind of started to value it now when I've left. When I now visit, I'm like, oh my God, I grew up in this place. Like, can you believe that? Sometimes I have to pinch myself.
Okay.
But when I was growing up there, for the longest, also, my family didn't travel much. So honestly, for the longest time, I didn't know that I lived in a very scenic place. I thought every place looked like that.
I think long ago, if I'm not mistaken, it was Preeti Zinta. She's also from Simla, from the hills.
Yeah, she is, yeah.
Yeah, it was the same thing that you take the hills for granted because they're around you.
And in the movies also, you see everything scenic. So you're like, yeah, the world must be scenic and beautiful all around, right?
No, please.
Exactly.
It's not.
Yeah, so now I obviously...
It's the smoky, gorgeous smoky black air of Delhi.
They're all dying in here. Gas chamber.
Gas chamber, right.
But
so you come to Delhi.
It was great. Yeah, so I came to Delhi. I definitely wanted to get out because opportunities were here in the big cities. And I came to Kirorimal College. I did my political science honors.
Why Pol Science?
I always was interested in pol
UPSC.
science, history. I mean, that's what I told my parents I want to do.
Achha.
UPSC,
Haan.
in quotes.
Because
I had to get out of the house. I had to project something. I had to be like, this is what my dream is and I'm going to break it and make it and I'm going to come in this red lal batti wala gaadi one day and
collector banungi.
Yeah, exactly. I have to pitch some dream to them so that they'll let me get out of that place, right? Because my father was like, if you're going to do a simple BA, might as well do it from here. And he was very disappointed that I didn't take science.
Okay.
He was very disappointed that I didn't even take commerce for that matter. So arts, he was like...
Shaadi kara lenge.
Yeah, he was like, honestly, I really could not care less.
I know. I got that a lot when, I'm from a family of doctors and all that. So I was like, अच्छा चलो arts है, ठीक है 21-22 में हो जाएगी इसकी शादी. But काली है थोड़ी तो मुश्किल होगा लड़का.
Really?
You get a lot of that, yeah.
Oh God. So, okay. Yeah. Anyway, similar situation. So I had to kind of get out of that and I decided to do honors in political science, which was a great subject. I always liked it. But I always also knew that I'm not going to take it forward because my heart lies somewhere else. Although I didn't know where exactly it lies and what am I going to do about it.
Because I was creative karna.
So I was in Kirorimal College. I didn't even join the theatre group there, which is so famous. Players, right? Where people like Amitabh Bachchan. Everybody has come out of that. So a part of me regrets that, but I'm okay. Like I've grown up and I've evolved from that time. I'm more confident now. Then I took a gap year, tried to do CAT. You know how everybody was trying for an MBA.
Of course, MBA
I joined the same queue and I was standing there for a year, crying my eyes out. Then my parents themselves were like, we don't think you're happy. We can see that you're a little depressed. Why don't you do something that you like?
Okay.
And I found this course in NIFT, which was Masters and Management. And I thought this would be a good mix of MBA and fashion and something that comes together beautifully. Although when I did join, and I was good at it, but when I did join, I realized, I don't know, I don't want to do this anymore.
Why? I don't know much about fashion, but I think you're always well dressed and you always fashion points are always on the mark,
That's
right?
very sweet of you. But yeah,
but not the management
part. Yeah, because I think it was not creative enough for me.
Okay.
A lot of it was management, was making sheets and
numbers.
A lot of number game, and I'm not very good at that. I don't enjoy that a lot. So I realized that probably this is not it. Yeah. And then I tried to get into styling. That's when I joined iDiva. So when I was in NIFT, it was my last semester and as a student, you have to do a project outside, right? And I joined iDiva as an intern, as a styling intern. They made me write also. So I became a writer/styling intern. And they liked me a lot. I liked them a lot. So they offered me a job. Which wasn't that great as an offer because I had done my masters. So I did sit for placements.
Not great bole to not great money
in terms
wise.
of money, yeah. Place was amazing. I mean, I made so many friends. I was enjoying my time
But
there.
you had to sustain yourself, right?
Of course,
It wasn't
I had
as if ghar se paise aa rahe hain,
Nahin,
bahut
exactly.
sare.
My parents are obviously from we come from humble beginnings, and I had a loan on my head, education loan, and I had rent to pay here, everything. So obviously, you have to consider these things
Rent,
as well.
you were staying PG in
I
Delhi.
was staying in a flat, in Gautam Nagar, and like a
Acha,
tiny
now
barsati.
let me tell you this. You're staying in Gautam Nagar,
Yeah.
which is where Shah Rukh Khan lived. You studied in Kirodi Mal, which is where Amitabh Bachchan. Boss, you are going to become the next big thing
Can you
in
believe
Bollywood.
Can you believe that I've only just found out that Shah Rukh lived in the same gully?
Yeah, in Gautam Nagar. Same gully?
Yeah, literally the same lane.
Oh, wow.
I had no idea.
Okay.
But I mean, I feel like God is saying something to me.
Yes,
I'll take that
a
as
message is coming
yeah,
to
I'll
you.
take that as a sign.
Okay.
But yeah, then I did get a job from my college placements. That they offered me better money and better position. But your heart really it was just like I was very torn between the two options that I had. One was IDEVA, lesser money, but my heart lies there. Then the rational choice that you would make is better money and better job. But something about IDEVA was just calling me, and I went there, and I decided to be like, you know what, I obviously requested them to increase a little more, just touch this level and I'll come, and they did that, and I joined them right away. And it was so funny that within, I think, the first week or 10 days of me joining there as a styling, now and obviously a junior stylist and a writer, we started making videos. And we got into a contract as a platform with Facebook, and we had to do about 80 minutes of video content every week. And we consider this:
lot.
we have no talent, no actors, no producer, no director. We have a small studio on the terrace. That's it. And all these platforms, IDEVA, Men's XP, India Times, all of them together have to make a lot of video content. So what do? We pull everyone in, we throw them in front of the camera, and we just try to make random videos. Literally, that's how it started.
So it was all improv.
It was all improv. It was not a part of our job. It was not even a part of our KRA in the beginning. We are still finishing our job. Like, I'm still doing my articles, all of us, Kusha, everyone, still writing our articles, doing the timelines, all of that. Then running to the studio, getting our makeup done, jumping in front of the camera, doing whatever you can do in that moment.
But that whole group, which, putting
Yeah.
together the content, very bindas and very...
Yeah. I mean,
no
all the girls,
holds-
so many girls, and we
it was
always...
a very fun group.
It was a very fun group. We always hopefully uplifted each other. It was such a nice place to be in because everybody was together, and we would think of ideas and improv. Most of it was improv. Then I slowly turned into a producer. So I would sit on the edits and, obviously bring them to a crisper version of the video because there was so much of footage, because we would just there was no script, right? We would just keep saying things, and whatever was funny we would keep. And that's how South Delhi started, because we were literally trying out different ideas every time.
How many of you were from South Delhi, living in South Delhi at that stage?
None of us.
None of you.
None of us.
Okay.
Kusha and I did South Delhi. We were the two South Delhi girls, and I'm not even from Delhi. Kusha was. She has lived all her life in Pitampura, and she was at that point,
But she
and even
did the
now.
West Delhi. You guys did that
No,
West
she did West
Both.
Delhi and South Delhi,
Yeah, both.
And Shivani did West Delhi. She was not from West Delhi also. So basically, none of us belonged to the places we were trying to It was just observation. Yeah, and I think after a point, me and Kusha both started doing our research as well. We would talk to more people from South Delhi. We would go to parties and observe a little bit.
कौन कैसे drink ले रहा है?
कौन कैसे क्या कर रहा है?
You know
Yeah.
that the way she would do that I got this PRP done, and
Yeah.
and and your that Shivoham and
Yeah.
Guruji.
Exactly. I've seen it so much.
Yeah.
Right. And obviously in the best terms, people really, they have so much faith and everything. And I could see that a lot of South Delhi people have chosen their guiding lights in life, and
Yeah.
they follow someone. So we did a take on that, and Shivoham also came through like that. I think Kusha, had met someone
Who went
at a
on?
party who did that. Shivoham,
And so that
she
became
picked that
part
up,
of-
yeah.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think she had met that person years back, like somewhere when she was in college. So a lot of it obviously came from memory, new observations, mix of everything. There was Santu, who was our creative director, who obviously was the reigning,
But it's not easy, Dolly. You got the pronunciation of all those fashion names perfectly.
Oh, we would always research.
Okay.
We would always like, even if like either someone would correct me or we'd Google what the correct pronunciation is or how the South Delhi folks are pronouncing it. So we did, after a point, because it did become a big property for us. We started putting a lot more work into it. We started writing our scripts. Soon it became a more official thing. I turned into a full-time producer. I was directing videos as well. So it was a lot of fun. And I think that's where my whole love of this, journey of content creation started. And I could see myself enjoying that a lot more than I was enjoying the writing or the styling bit.
So where did this Raju ki mummy come from? Oh God, she's like, how can you do South Delhi and then wali awaaz?
I mean, Raju ki mummy
Where
is...
does that Raju ki mummy? That voice that you bring. It's
inside of me.
From Chanayi to
Yeah.
Raju ki mummy.
But for me, Chanayi and South Delhi was more of a character I'm trying to put on. Raju ki mummy, I think, comes from within.
No, does it?
For sure, trust me, because it is absolutely 98% based on my mother.
Okay.
Yes.
Huh.
She denied it for the longest time. Now she owns it because it's a loved character. In the beginning, she was like, I don't sound like that. I've never done that. But we did a random video, which was, a collection of how mothers react when guests come over. It was an idea I pitched because I'd seen my mother be such a double-faced person. Like, in front of us, she'd be like, I'll whack you and this and that. And in front of a guest, she's like, Arey, my kids and me, we are such a loving family and you are welcome. Why don't you have more tea? You suddenly become this softer version.
Biscuit ko
And suddenly
haath mat lagana.
yeah, if you touch a biscuit, suddenly the eyes will say something else, So, and
Saaf wale tauliye lagana.
exactly. So we'd all seen our mothers behave differently in front of guests, and we decided to do that. And for the first time, I did a Raju ki mummy there, and I also called her Raju ki mummy because I have seen in my life my mother was never called by her name. She was always by her friends, by the neighbors, called as Dolly ki mummy or Anmol ki mummy. Anmol is my brother. So I could see that women in this class, in middle class in general, a lot of times they don't have their own identities. Either they are someone's wife or someone's mother. And I know it's funny, but it's also real and it's a little...
A lot of things which you did were funny, but funny at the upar ka level.
Exactly.
And
when you
there
think
was
about
so
it,
much meaning to what you were doing.
Yeah.
So that, that I there was one thing that I remember this chappal, throwing the chappal at Raju. It was, and then somebody, who is it? I think there was an actor. I can't
Tapsi.
seem to... Who said that, why chappal?
Exactly.
I was like, matlab haath se marungi to it's violence. Chappal. Somewhere they're trying to make that logical thing कि मैंने हाथ से तो नहीं पीटा ना अपने बेटे को, चप्पल फेंका था. So you understand where that comes from.
Of course.
You understand the angst. You understand a middle class mother trying to juggle so many things.
Yeah.
Bringing up kids and disciplining the kid. Raju's of course
insane.
running all over the place, not doing his thing.
Clearly.
Right? And the mother doing it. But I saw where you were coming from. I saw that there's...
No, I think there's a lot of realizations that has happened even as an adult to me, where I realized where my mother was coming from. A lot of times we have such strained relationships with our mother growing up, especially women. At one point, all daughters and mothers have a very toxic relationship. And I had that for a few years with my mom. Before I moved to Delhi. And I think after that, things became clear because I think there's a lot of forgiveness that comes in. You grow, you become wiser, and you understand their upbringing, their conditioning, and where they were coming from. I mean, my mother was 16, 17 when she had me. What can I expect? She was a child when she was raising me. So I think, a lot of whatever was, I was doing, even though there was a whole thing of it being funny and comedic, at the end of it, there was a lot of, also I wanted to talk about a lot of things that women go through. I mean, I've done characters like Guddi Bhabhi and Zeenat also later on, which... of course, on the face of it are funny and, they make you laugh. But if you really think about their life stories, you realize they're not not the best, they're not having the best time.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
in many ways, I think, like, for example, what you're talking about, your mother being 16, 17, there was nobody to guide, right?
Not
so
at all.
how to be a mom, how to be a wife is something that she picked up from her mom.
Yeah.
And subsequently,
Yeah.
that
And other people.
के कैसे वो
The
मासी
society
कैसे
telling
बुआ
them.
कैसे
Yeah,
कर रहे हैं,
exactly.
you do this.
Yeah.
So many times, and of course, there was no Google.
Yeah.
Like today's parents have.
Yeah,
कि सब कुछ,
exactly. Now the YouTube videos will explain everything to you.
why is the
Right?
child burping? Why is it not burping?
Exactly.
How to burp it? Everything
Yeah.
is there, right?
Yeah.
But not your mom and not me,
Yeah.
probably, where, haldi doodh pilao, falan,
Yeah.
all those things. It's
Yeah.
it's hard. In fact, like when we're talking small town, I had here this person called MBA Chaiwala. He's somebody,
I know,
you know
I
of
know,
him, right?
yes.
So he's also from a small town, and he was mentioning how he went for English speaking classes. Right? And ठीक है, English तो सीख रहे हैं. You're learning how English is spoken because you want to do your MBA, you want to get to that strata of society, and unless you learn utna baithna, speaking in a particular way, you're not going to get accepted, and getting accepted is important.
Very important.
So he said I would spend extra time to understand how to do that, like how to order tea, coffee in a restaurant.
No,
it is
I
such
can
a big
imagine.
deal, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, I have personally also sat with my dictionary all the time, just learning new words as a kid. I was also very enamored. As a kid, I was also very ashamed of where I came from. So there was this constant thing in my head that I have to get out of this. I have to one day become rich, one day become this like English speaking woman who's independent, which I am right now. And I'm very happy about that. But I also realized that it was coming from a bad place. Now, of course, I'm so much more grateful for where I come from, and I know my roots, and I appreciate that. I don't want to run away from it. I want to accept it and take it with me and move on from that. But a lot of my English communication skills, because a lot of times young girls and people from small town message me about this. How is your English so good, And not that it's great, but I can understand that because the schools and colleges there are not perfect.
Sure.
They're not at the level that Delhi schools would be. So I did study in an English medium, which I'm very grateful for my parents, because I was the first girl to study in an English medium school in my family.
Okay.
But I had to make that extra effort as well to kind of watch English movies or shows and really get the hang of it, because somewhere my aspiration was to be this person, to be able to speak in English all the time, Now, of course, I value Hindi more somehow.
Because
there's a
content
switch in
is-
me that I'm like, yes, English is our second language. We have to stop making it such a big deal. Even right now I'm speaking in English, but I've realized that there's no point judging each other. You know how we used to judge each
But
other?
even
Like,
English
you don't know.
accent, Dolly, like, when I got into doing voicing and news and all, we had to be trained to speak in a particular manner.
No, I can totally imagine.
We couldn't talk English just
Normally.
like suppose I was to just say let me pull out something, okay? मैं pull out करके बताती हूँ कि कैसे हम लोग बोलते थे और कैसे हमें बोला जाता था that अभी you have to talk like this. Okay, let me just so that I can mimic it to
but
you.
But it's so funny because my English teacher used to say this: if you don't have an accent, what's the point? So you could see the school of thought this
what
all
is an
came
English
from.
accent? पहली बात.
Exactly. Why would it come?
Okay, also Hindi, because Hindi is not my first language.
Okay.
But I would also speak Hindi. Just say you say, one of your characters say, "Hum jati hai, hum karegi," not know the
But
know the
that's
gender.
fine because it's not your first language.
Yeah.
So I'll give it to you. It's funny when people whose first language it is talk like that. Talk like they don't know or they don't want to know.
कि
Right?
gender क्या है?
कि gender क्या है और क्या लगेगा.
Do that once. That
अब नहीं आता तो नहीं आता हिंदी, क्या करे? करे. Not even करे.
करे. नहीं आती हिंदी.
Yeah.
नहीं आती हिंदी, नहीं आता हिंदी. I'll never know, frankly.
Exactly.
See, suppose I was to read this out, I would read it as General Manoj Mukund Narwane, PVSM, AVSM, is a retired Army general who served as the 27th Chief of Army Staff as well as temporary Chairman of the Chief of Staff of Committee from 15. This is how I would read.
Normally, yeah.
Right? So, how were we trained? It was General Manoj Mukund Narwane born 22nd April 1960, is a retired army general who served as the 20... Pet mein se awaaz nikalo and speak in that accent. You know, it's...
Yeah. Oh my God.
You
I am
cannot.
imagining all the. So as a kid, my father always.
I'm talking
told
about
me to-
80s, late 80s,
Oh,
early
late-
90s.
But even 90s, yeah, because I
Huh.
remember my father used to tell me, watch English news. Watch English news. And sometimes... And
Neeti Ravindran ki tarah
Yeah.
English bolo.
And then I would switch on the TV and sometimes just watch that news and I would not understand a single word
Correct.
because of this accent.
Yeah.
I would just understand how beautiful it sounded though.
Yeah.
I have to give it to that. Because they were so poised and nice and calm. There's such...
Calm.
Huh.
Pet mein se awaaz nikalo.
Exactly. And I would just nod my head as if I'm understanding.
Seekh lungi ek din.
Yeah, one day I will get it.
Yeah, even the ads. I did advertising. I
Oh, yeah,
studied from
voiceovers and all in
voiceover,
ads,
right?
yeah.
And I used to argue with the professor. Aap sabun bech rahe hain, right? Why do you need that? Oceans of lather to caress your complexion. Lux Supreme.
This is so funny.
Why Lux? Why not Lux? Ab sabun, you know,
Yeah.
that changed slowly. It was
It did,
washing powder, Nirma,
Yeah.
you know, and then Surf Wali auntie came.
Yeah.
And that Surf Wali auntie was popular. Why?
I think it was after the liberalization and all of that happened in the 90s. Now
Yeah.
it became thoda, I think the Indian tadka came back.
Huh.
You know, make it like more Indian. Bring
It's
it back.
Surf Wali aunties, your mom, my mom,
Exactly.
who will say ki haan aise.
Aise,
She's
yeah.
not washing clothes aise karke.
Yeah. Her hands are not soft.
No, they're not this manicured hands
Yeah.
jo yu karke kar rahe hain,
Yeah,
you
she
know?
sits on the floor and beats the shit out of those clothes.
And she's asking uski kameez, meri kameez, why?
Yeah.
All our moms did that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, so I'm sure you relate to all this exactly like I would relate. That
Of course. Yeah.
these things were aspirational. As you said, South Delhi aunties are an aspirational thing. Now that you've reached that South Delhi auntie stage where you
No.
are professional, you know what I mean to say is
Yeah.
you're economically independent. You've bought a
Yes.
house for your parents, which is
Yes.
a big deal. Before you've become 30, you've reached knock on wood. You've become you become independent in many ways, which is such a huge thing for
I
a girl
know.
in
Yeah.
our
I agree.
in our country.
Yeah.
So you've come to that stage. How do you guard that you shouldn't become a South Delhi auntie?
No, because like I said, I think as I'm growing up, there's a lot of, things I realize. Literally almost every day, I question myself. I question a lot of my past behavior, where I was coming from, what kind of thought process did I have. And I think a lot of my realization has to do with, where I come from and what kind of values I hold and how much I want to safeguard those at this level. Because I know that, like you said, when you become independent, it's very also easy to lose yourself in that process and just keep going with the flow and make that money and become that person who you see every day. Like in my profession, I see a variety of people and I sometimes feel like maybe I will become, I find myself becoming like them. And then I'll have to hold myself back. Oh, no. You are a different person. This is not you. This is not what you'd ask for. This is not what you'd say in this situation. So it's constant reminders to my own self. But I think there has been a lot of just... I just like where I come from. I think I'm just more confident in life. I'm much more grateful to my parents. I know I can totally imagine what their struggles would have been. And I'm very happy. I think a lot of it has to be given to that I'm very content with what I'm doing. And I feel like I want to take everybody along with me rather than jump around and become this unapproachable person. So I think it's just constant telling yourself, this is who you are.
So you're writing your own lines.
Yeah.
You're enacting it too.
Yeah.
So, you take on many roles.
Yeah.
At times, it must be hard to say, okay, so what am I? I'm doing this. I'm
Yeah.
jumping from one content to the next content. And then also the reactions. I'm sure there must
Yeah.
be good ones. And I mean, like, I'm a fangirl. I love what
Yeah.
you do. But there must be people who must be saying nasty things too. So
Of course, yeah.
how do you take both?
I think it's not easy, at least in the beginning when the trolls started happening or in kind of hate comments. It did get to me. I mean, it still does, but not as often, thankfully. And I would I'm very competitive in life, like extremely competitive. Sometimes, like, I've had therapy about that. Like, I don't want to be this competitive. I want to be a little more chill in life, but it doesn't come naturally to me. I'm trying to work for that. And because of that fact, when you get a hate comment or something like that, it used to irk me a little more. You know, like, why am I not able to please this person? Why is this person not happy with
So
me?
you used to see the comment section.
Of course, yeah. And I feel like a lot of content, because, you know, when you're a celebrity, when you're an actor, you can detach from this whole social media thing. You can post and leave. And you don't have to engage. But as a content creator, as an influencer, you have to engage because that's what your whole livelihood depends on.
Okay.
Right? You have to engage with these people. You have to, you know, take their feedback, work on it, all of these things. Because if you don't have that following, how will you make that money?
Yeah.
So it's a give and take. And
Correct.
I appreciate, there's so many people who've been following me for years. So I really, really appreciate them. But there will obviously be trolls, like you said, and it does get to you. And like you said, you know, I do so many characters, but how do you maintain who you are?
Coping mechanism.
It's very difficult because, you know, during the pandemic, before the pandemic, there was a time where I was meeting a lot of people. This was the time when we were, you know, our popularity was increasing. And I would, you know, randomly bump into a lot of people or meet some people at parties. And I could see a sense of disappointment, even
Really?
whether in their eyes, or sometimes they would say things like, are you upset? Are you okay? And it was all coming, I'm not saying that I don't blame them, but it was coming from a place that, you know, they see me doing so much comedy on screen that they were expecting the same off of me in real life. And I'm not that person. I'm a big introvert in real life. I'm also very, like, my sense of humor is not like, you know, how a lot of people have such amazing sense of humor that they make you laugh every second. And I love those people, but I'm not that person. My comedy actually comes a lot from my writing, a lot from my observation, a lot of when I'm in front of the camera. But when I'm out of the camera, when I'm away from it, I am not that person exactly. I will be funny here and there, but I can't make you laugh every second. It's just not me. It's a character I'm playing. So a lot of times people forget that, and they expect you to be this, you know, over the top character all the time.
And when you're
not, they are like, oh my God, like, is she okay? Not realizing that maybe this is who I am. So
that expectation.
Yeah, it did get to me. I actually came to a point where I didn't want to meet anyone. I was quite depressed. I think I started getting anxious about meeting people because I was like, I don't want to disappoint anyone anymore. And I don't want to see that look in their eyes when they meet me and they're like, okay, you know, this is it. So I did start therapy because of that, essentially. And, you know, kind of talked about that at length with my therapist. And now I think I'm in a better place. I've also now obviously tried to tell my audience as well that I try to share a lot more about my personal life, as in, like, this is who I am in reality. My characters is not it. So I do try to make it a little more clearer this time, but I'm definitely at a place where I don't freak out if someone gets disappointed meeting me, because I'm like, yeah, this is who I am. Take it or leave it. It's fine.
Actors don't have to put so much of themselves out there.
Exactly, which is also why people can, you know,
Separate
kind of
the
separate
person.
them. That this is this is the character they acted like, but this is him in real life, right? But with influencers or content creators, the lines are very blurry, and I won't blame the audience also thinking that way, because you do portray so many characters, and especially if you're doing comedy, you do come across as a very funny person. And if you're not that in real life, probably even I might think like that.
What were the other girls with you? Did they also feel that same kind of disconnect at times?
I won't say so. So Kusha and I have had like a long journey of, you know, we've done so many things together.
5
We've traveled
years
together.
together.
Yeah, we've traveled together because South Delhi Girls became such a hit. So we have done a lot of things together. And I think, so Kusha has a very nice extroverted personality. She is actually, the way she is on screen
is how she is. Okay.
So I think a lot of times people's confusion also came from that.
कि वो भी है तो ये
ये तो
भी है.
same है,
हाँ.
but ये same नहीं है. You know, so they would get confused. But I don't think Kusha has had that problem. Thankfully, I wouldn't want her to. But yeah, I personally faced
Problem bole to
It's not
a
about
character
exactly.
evolving.
It's also
you
the
know,
audience
your own
realizing what they're saying.
Yeah.
I think with Komal, people have had that, you know, a bunch of times that, oh, she's like this in person, she's a little reserved and, you know, this and that. But our personalities are like that.
But it's
So
also
that's
hard,
okay.
right? Every time you step out, you're expected to look a particular manner and no,
Yeah.
But yours, what will you look like? Will you look like Raju ki mummy? Will you look like
Yeah, thankfully I
South
can get
Delhi?
away with anything
Yeah,
and
you've done so many.
crack a joke about it. Yeah.
That-
I've met people in pajamas buying groceries and whatnot, and then it becomes like a joke. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm like, what a place to meet at, no?
How did Acha, just do that bhaiya again? I just love that.
Baya.
Who says that, Dolly?
I have no idea. But I've heard people, okay. I've heard people. You know, initially, I used to find sometimes what we used to do, you know, like Kusha and Santu would give feedback, like, say this or say that, and let's add this and add that to the video. I would think, like, oh my God, this is a little too much. I don't think anybody says that. But then I would suddenly meet someone who says exactly that. And then I was like, oh my God,
Haya.
maybe it's not as exaggerated as I thought it would be.
I don't know. Maybe they do. I
Maybe
think,
not as not as annoyingly.
Huh.
Also because it's the way they actually speak, so
Yeah.
it doesn't
But you
come
know,
out as annoying.
You go to Bombay so often.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you also say bhaiya out there, and
Yeah,
they
yeah,
look
yeah.
at you because
Dada.
nobody says bhaiya there.
Yeah, I've started saying Dada now.
How do you switch? You go to Bombay so often. You were
just-
telling me once a week
Yeah.
or twice a week you go.
Yeah, more than that sometimes.
Huh.
Because a lot of our shoots happen there. Most of the big shoots happen there. So except for whatever I'm shooting at home, most shoots happen in Bombay. So I have to keep going to Bombay and learn the ways of Bombay because it's so different from Delhi. So yeah, the Dada and all of that bhaiya. I think when you call them bhaiya, they might get offended.
Yeah.
Huh?
Huh.
Bhaiya? So yeah, you have to remember.
And everything, you know. I mean, even Bhai Sahab is not there.
Yeah.
It's not even आइए बैठिए खाइए पिए आ
Yeah.
बैठ खा, and it sounds a little rude for Delhiites who are used to a different style of Hindi.
Yeah.
It sounds a little I won't say crude, but it's a different way of
Yeah.
speaking.
Yeah.
But there is that snobbery in Bombay too.
The South Bombay girls.
South Bombay girls.
Sobo.
Which is, what is the difference between the snobbery of South Bombay and South Delhi?
I think it's pretty much the same, except for the Bombay folks. I think they are proud of the fact that they're not such big show-offs. So for them, if there is...
If you were, I live in Ghatkopar or Chinchpokli, and then you go and meet a South Bombay girl, you think she will have...
No, she will.
Huh.
But I'm saying that they're not as loud when it comes to their
Dress.
personalities, right? They are more, they're rich, but they're the understated rich. Like, we don't need to show it off. We will wear all the designer stuff, but it won't be very loud in terms of, you know, the logos and the branding and all of that. You'll see it. Like, if you know luxury, you'll know that I'm wearing luxury, right? And they're a little more chill. I feel because Bombay in itself, like Mumbai people in itself, they're just chill in life. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of similarities between Sobo and South Delhi.
That
Because
airport
it's the
look.
rich. It's
Look
the
at
rich.
that, the snobbery in the airport look. कौन ऐसे कपड़े पहन के airport जाता है पहली बात?
I won't know because I am always so covered in like blankets because I feel so cold in the AC that I'm
You're
always
a Nainital
carrying.
girl. Where do you feel cold?
Yeah, you just asked me that when I came in. But yeah, I've always had a very sad relationship with cold in life. So I do not enjoy it. In fact, when I tell people that I like summers, they literally want to slap me because summers in Delhi are a nightmare. So
I'm going to send a camera team just to see what you wear when you go to the airport. Whether you're all
I'm so
hoodie
covered.
and
I have this neck pillow which also has a hoodie, like a bear.
neck pillow. Now,
Yeah.
see, okay, we've done Shah Rukh Khan, we've done Amitabh Bachchan. Now you're an Amir Khan who takes a pillow to the airport. You're getting
I am comfort for me is the biggest priority. So
Okay.
yeah.
So you are comfortable in Bombay and you're comfortable in Delhi.
Yes.
But
Both.
you live in
Gurgaon.
Gurgaon. So please tell me about the snobbery of Gurgaon. Because snobbery मैं इसलिए कह रही हूँ, I'm not trying to look down upon any
Yeah,
place.
yeah.
But every city has that thing.
Yeah.
You know, which is like you go to shadis and all that, and when they say कि कहाँ रहते हो बेटा, and then you turn around and like every place, you know, like you go to Bombay, it's like we were talking about that if you were to say that I live in, Chinchpokli, they're not going to pay attention. If you say, if you're in Delhi and you say Pitampura, they're not paying attention. You go to Chennai, you have to be dressed in that proper manner when you go for weddings, and you have to wear the sari, and you have to have a nose pin, 6 diamonds, 7 diamonds, so hone hi chahiye, and then say, kahan rehte ho? Mylapore. Shake your head and say, Mylapore, you're in that level.
Oh, okay.
And in Calcutta has in like Elgin Road. Otherwise, I remember how these aunties would say, where in Calcutta? Like, it's that eyebrow yun karke, where do you live? Even in Lucknow, even in...
Of course, every city has that. I mean, when we did Saudi Girls, we used to get so many comments from Pakistan as well. That, even in Lahore and Karachi, we have similar crowds here and similar south. I think the southern regions in every city or every place where all over the globe are the rich. Right, they reside there. Their behavior patterns are the same.
The snobbishness of Lahore aunties is at a different level only. Like, and Karachi is a little bit like Bombay.
Yeah,
it's
I've
like
been told.
It's
the Delhi Bombay of Pakistan. Yeah.
So Lahore is like you have to have your barize outfits and lawn ke and then it's like पिछले season ke lawn ke outfit पहन लिए so the Islamabad and the Lahore aunties will judge you on whether you're wearing last season's lawn is their cotton it's that it's your good earth. That the
good
way,
earth.
Yeah, good earth. That is soft.
Yeah.
When it comes out,
your voice changes. You can't say good earth. It has to be good earth.
Good earth. And raw mango.
Raw mango.
Yeah. Softly aana chahiye na when you get.
Yeah.
Where is your sari from? How would you reply, Dolly?
Raw mango.
Yeah. And if it was Fab India, how would you reply?
Fab India only.
हाँ. और अगर shopper stop हो तो फिर?
Shopper stop.
Okay. Do you know what I mean? Okay, now so tell me.
I know what you mean exactly.
Gurgaon mein kaise the camellias and the magnolias?
Yeah, I've not had any any conversation with anyone from those places, because even in Gurgaon, I'm living in the most the middle class regions. I'm not living in an apartment. So
you have no liveried waiter coming with a tray?
Not at all. Not at all.
Tea service?
Not at all.
Okay. But so now that's your aspiration.
Yeah, but Gurgaon snobbery, as you call it, is also is the same people who were in Delhi. They have either their young children have moved after getting married or something, have bought their new flats and apartments in the Magnolias and the what was the other one?
So Patel Nagar ka 1200 gaz ki kothi बेच के
they have moved to
Gurgaon,
Magnolias. Exactly. So all these rich Delhi families
Beverly
have moved to Gurgaon.
Heritage.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So they've moved
the security at these apartments is crazy.
That gated community ki culture hi alag hoti hai.
I think you have to tell them 5 times who you are and then they'll let you enter.
कौन से फ्लैट में? अच्छा ये भी तो फर्क पड़ता है.
Income tax कितना भरा था आपने last year? ये बताइए.
Yeah. Even that like in many of these places, it's there in White Tiger also when you hear.
Yeah.
It's they think that people like your drivers and the maids and the guards and all, they don't understand you. You're seeing now this, even Noida ke jo, the fights which are happening with the guards, where some of these owners think that they are some kind of a low life. They don't understand you. They're not worthy of respect as another human.
Yeah.
It's that level of snobbery.
But I think I feel like, of course, there's a lot of rich people who do that because somewhere I feel like money hinders their view. But I have to say that in our country, it doesn't always depend on how rich or poor you are. There's so many divides. So, when it comes to looking at another person as if they are some roaches or just not a full person, right? That you don't give them the respect. That happens with, I think, everyone. And I feel like at some level, you also have to unlearn a lot of things. Like I come from family where, our the class divide or the caste divide is so, we come from UP. So it's very out there. It's very like, this person belongs to this caste, or which caste do you belong to, and this and that, or which class, and all of these things. So you're always made so aware of these things that you growing up that now you have to unlearn these things, that you can't stereotype people like that, or you can't judge people like that.
Did you find yourself like correcting yourself when you came?
Of course, a lot of times I've correct, and even as I think while growing up, also I used to have fights with my mother all the time, and I mean now I can see where she was coming from. She also has to unlearn all these things. Now we are doing that together. But yeah, a lot of times, suddenly I'll be like, okay, why did I say that? Why did I say it like that? I can be nicer than that. It's my internal, it's an internalized thing that you feel like, oh, you're at this level and this person is at that level. So you can be like this to them. I'm not saying that I've been like...
But thoda conflict bahut zyada
hota hai,
hai,
but that's what you have to do, right? You have to unlearn, you have to correct yourself each time you do something like that. Of course, the people that we're talking about do not realize any of this.
Yeah.
They keep going on, they don't care. But I think because it's such a
you
big
grow
thing,
as a human
you grow
being.
as a human, and I think that it's... I mean, I've seen a lot of rich people who are also extremely nice, extremely sweet. They understand their privilege. They probably are also trying to help out. So it's not like it's a big stereotype that all the rich are like this. But yeah, of course, stereotypes also exist for a reason, right? So it is a pattern for sure. But I think all of us collectively, whether you come from money or not, we all have our judgments. We all have our boxes that we've put people in. Like we are talking about rich people and we think like they're a certain way, but not always. So
but when you put it across in a comedic manner,
yeah,
it makes many people rethink.
Yeah, of course. That's what I'm saying. Stereotypes come from somewhere. So if you're
it's
telling
not
me
as if
that
you're just laughing at them, it's making us rethink that,
yes,
oh my God, am I like this too?
Yes.
And when you if you're a sensitive person, you'll realize, oh my God, I make this mistake too.
Yeah.
And then what happens, Dolly, is many times that people rise from that level of not being able to say pizza properly. You say pizza.
Yeah.
And then you come to the level of pizza. You're able to say pizza. You're able to say hors d'oeuvres.
Yeah.
You're able to say noodles instead of noodle. And after that, you come to that level and then you start looking down on people who can't say it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Exactly.
So, to guard yourself that you shouldn't become that snob that you used to look at.
Yeah, that you used to hate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That comes with a lot of learning and being sensitive.
For sure. You have to be very self-aware. Otherwise, you will, like I said, lose yourself. You will become that person you always disliked.
Yeah.
Who looked down at you and now you're doing the same thing to another person. So it's a cycle. And
so you've done
unless
so
you
many
break
changes, right?
Yeah.
From small town to Delhi to Bombay, and now you're in Gurgaon and you're like hopping cities making content.
Yeah.
How do you remain sensitive to these things?
I mean, at the end of it, I feel like it's just about trying to be a good person. And that's universal. So whether you are in Mumbai or Delhi or Gurgaon or America or wherever you are, I think at the end of the bottom line is, are you a good person? Are you treating people with kindness and are you being nice to them? I think it all comes down to that. And if you are, whether language is a barrier or something, I think your emotions...
Was language a barrier?
Not always. I don't think so. I mean, I do feel like my English is not that great still. I feel like my vocabulary is really small. But like I said, like I don't hold myself back, or I don't let that thing about me hold me back in any way. And I'm trying to obviously learn in the process. But yeah, I don't think it was at any point a barrier big enough that could like stop me.
You were brave enough to say that the toxic comments hurt you and you sought therapy.
Yeah.
I've had several people coming on this podcast who are very successful people in their own respective field.
Yeah.
And I asked them the same question that, the toxicity, many of us are told that be strong.
Yeah.
Right?
Ignore.
Or ignore karo. Why do you look at the comments? Why do you bother?
Yeah.
Just do your work. Itna sara kaam
You
pada
are
bhai
giving
ban.
them attention.
You're giving them attention. Ignore
Yeah.
karo. But it's
Yeah.
not possible, right?
It's not easy. I mean, I try to. I of course, I try to ignore. Of course, I try to divert my attention to all the love that I'm getting, which is amazing. But you're a human being; it will get to you. You have a tiny heart and a brain that functions in a way, and you have those nerves and anxiety and all of that. So it can happen. It's bound to happen. So it's very easy to say that just ignore. Just let it be. Let it go. It's fine. You have bigger things. Of course, I have bigger things. Of course, I'm enjoying the love that I'm getting. But that doesn't mean that this little comment can't hurt me, or I have a shield across me right now. Sometimes it can, but of course I've been working on it nicely, and I think I'm at that place right now, especially that I could not care less of all the trolls, because I think thanks to therapy, thanks to obviously talking, so many of my friends are in content creation, so we have a very closed group of just, support group, you can say, where we talk about these things. It's very important to have that. In any profession that you're in, I think it's very important to have friends from that profession, so you understand each other's pain points and you can talk about it.
And not just necessarily women. You can have men, women, anybody, right?
Yes, and my partner is from a different background altogether, right? So he also brings in that perspective of what it is like to not be in this position, right? Sometimes I would be so worried about something like, oh my God, this comment came or this feedback came and I'm so worried, or didn't work. And suddenly he'll say something so rational. How does it matter? Your last video worked this much. Or like something so simple he'll say. And then you'll be like, oh yeah, I didn't think about this.
You don't mimic him. He's not scared.
I know, I may mimic him in private. It's only a personal.
Does he think that you're going to make him one of your characters, like say
Raju? No. But a lot of times, I mean, we've talked about this. A lot of times, my comedy, because my comedy, obviously, it's very observational. It's very like, it comes from your life, right?
Correct.
So anytime we're having some fight or like there's something new that has happened in our life, a version of that will show up in one of my videos, because our content ideas come from like our life only. So any conversation you've had with a person, you've observed someone, or anything that you have suffered or been through, then you'll be like, oh wait, this is a good topic for content. Everybody goes through this. Why don't I make some content, because it's so relatable.
Mom has come, and your partner's there, dad, brother.
Of course, I make so many skits where I have like, I play my brother also and my father also, and all of those behaviors you see.
From your...
Yes, I have no other point of reference. Okay. So a lot of it, like, honestly, it's so funny that we talk about it as a family, how uncanny sometimes it is. That you're speaking like the father, you're speaking like the brother. There's literally the nuances, because I've observed them all my life, right? So it comes naturally. Even when I'm trying not to be like them, I am like them.
So you didn't get a lot of these chachis and aunties in your family coming and saying कि क्यों ऐसे कर रही है, मजाक उड़ा रही है हमारा?
Yeah, there's been a part of the family who's not very happy with, of course, with what I'm doing, and there's been a distance. But I personally have not engaged with them. I've only engaged with the people who are enjoying my work, my relatives who have nice things to say and actually do watch my videos. So they are sweet. They are fun to talk to, and then we talk about, what's happening and what's not. But people who are, either bad-mouthing me or not interested or jealous in any way, I really don't care.
Yeah,
I've always been that person. I'm very especially in terms of relatives and family, I've always safeguarded myself, and I don't have useless conversations with people. I think that I was that person always growing up. Like I would tell my mother that I don't want to talk to this relative out of just because they're my relative, I have to talk to them. No.
But it comes for a lot of women who are in...
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of family setups are like that, where you have to please them, where you have to talk to them, where, maybe you are close to them and they will say certain things.
And opinionated women are always that...
They're always considered...
Yeah, फिर इसके...
Too much education has happened. बहुत पढ़ लिया इसने, बहुत modern बन गई है ये.
You get that?
I mean, yeah. And sometimes as a woman, you also think that. Like, when I was not in a relationship and I was single and I was looking for love, I would be like, बहुत पढ़ लिया क्या? Because feminism बहुत आ गया. अब मैं settle नहीं हो पा रही हूँ.
You weren't going on dates, क्या?
I was, but I would get disappointed meeting the men, and I would be like, are my standards too high?
So how did you meet your partner?
No, but that's never a problem.
Please don't tell me in South Delhi.
No. I met him on a dating app.
Okay. On a dating app. Okay, how modern is that?
Exactly. Yeah. See? And I didn't have to sacrifice.
You wrote कि मैं Dolly Singh हूँ.
Yeah, I mean I did, but thankfully he did not know of me.
Okay.
He came from another world altogether, and that was a great thing, because anybody who knew of me, I would not date them.
Why?
So, because like I said, right, they have this
Nobody
perception
knows
of
कि
you.
क्या है.
That is so different from who I am. And I would get these, messages, like if I would match with someone and they'd be like, oh, a big Raju ki mummy fan. And suddenly I'd be like,
oh God, that's what I did right now.
No, but like, No, but I'm not dating you, right? I'm planning on dating this person, and I get it. They love Raju ki Mummy, that's great, but they will come with the perspective that I will be someone like Raju ki
That you
Mummy,
will keep making
or
them
I'll
laugh.
keep making them laugh like this.
ऐसे कपड़े क्यों पहने हैं?
I'm very
वाली-
funny in
वो वाली
personal
आवाज़.
life, I have to say.
You
I'm-
tell that to your boyfriend.
Yeah, exactly, right?
ये जूते क्यों पहने हैं?
Yeah, role playing like Raju ki Mummy. No, of course that's not going to happen. So I have to be a little like, I wanted a fresh start. Like I wanted to start with someone who really gets to know me for me first, and then gets to be introduced to this whole side of me, right?
Okay.
So when Manu, also my partner, did find out that, you know, I make videos and I do this comedy and all of that, his friends told him, and I rationed him. I was like, you know, I'm allowing you one video a day. You can't overdo this, because you have to keep my personality intact in your eyes. Like you have
Are
to
you-
remember
but
this is who I
He
am.
must have thought, are you going to judge me like you judge all these ladies and you judge all these guys? Acha, I have to get to this point that
Yeah.
you meet so many celebrities.
Yeah.
How do they react to you? Like, do they appreciate you in your various avatars, or do they want
Yeah.
you to do things like, you know, act out in a particular manner? How do they react to you?
I mean, I have to say they're all extremely sweet about it, and thankfully, most times they know what's coming, because either they have seen the videos or they have been prepped that, you know, this person is coming and they're going to do some kind of this video, and you have to be prepared for that. They've read the script and all of that has happened. So a lot of times it's easier. It's like a soft launch. But sometimes, when either they are not on social media or they've not seen my
They
work,
don't know
they
you,
don't know. And then suddenly, you know, especially when I become a Raju ki Mummy, they're like,
ऐसे क्यों बोल रही है?
yeah, because when I'm explaining to them, I'm talking to them, I talk like this. Here, this is the script. This is what we're going to do. I'll be a little exaggerated over the top, but like be okay, and like don't worry, and everything is a part
Because
of the
you're a
whole thing.
director also at times,
Yeah,
right?
and
Producer,
and I'm doing right now, especially I'm
Scripting.
doing my whole thing by myself, right? So I'm the one who's briefing them, giving them the direction, explaining what the concept is. And then suddenly when the palla goes over my head and I do the hello friends, chai pilo, and suddenly they'll be like, I did a video with Ranbir Kapoor and he was so taken aback and I was screaming because as Raju ki Mummy, it's part of the character that you scream and shout and be honestly obnoxious about it. And he literally was trying to get away from me because it got that loud. Even if you might not have grown up with these characters, but somewhere you've met them. You've come across a person like that. Even someone as Goody Bhabhi I've done. She's so out there. She's so different and she's so like, she loves herself unabashedly, and she's always joking about her divorce and her husband's vasectomy. You know, so
it's all there.
yeah, it's so out there. But I've still received so many messages saying, I have this bhabhi in B block who's exactly like this. I have this neighbor who's exactly like this. So, you know,
You like
all
it
these
though when you get that
Of course, I
feedback.
love it. I love it. So
But then there'll be people who'll tell you exaggerate. ऐसी कोई नहीं है जो ऐसे करती है. ऐसे
a
बोलती है.
lot of people. I think a lot of people who are like that get offended.
Who
and
get
then say,
offended, no?
ऐसा तो कुछ भी नहीं होता.
हाँ, I know. You know, have you seen Ayush Shraddha?
Yes. Oh, I love her.
Right? So she does that South Indian thing so well.
Yeah.
She's like every aunt that I know of.
Yeah.
She's
so
exactly
good.
like
Yeah.
that. कि मतलब अपनी बेटी को बोलती है कि चाय बना के ले आओ. Now we've all gone through that, right?
Yeah.
Our mom's telling us.
Yeah.
और हम किचन जाते हैं, ना तो हमको वो पतीला मिलता है, ना चाय की पत्ती मिलती है, ना चीनी, because mummy has kept चीनी one day here, one day there.
Yeah.
Right? And she
Yeah.
always says चीनी यहीं पे थी. तुमने देखा नहीं.
Yeah.
ना वो चाय पत्ती मिलती, ना चीनी मिलती है, ना दूध मिलता है, ना.
And then you're scared out of your wits.
Yeah. So she tells you that,
Yeah.
you know, oh, Amazon से कुछ order करना है तो फटाक से you order, but अगर तुम्हें चाय बनानी तो तुम्हें कुछ नहीं मिलेगा, right? You know, and then we don't know the word for that. वो जो ना वो cardamom कूटने के लिए जो होता है ना,
Oakley.
the Oakley.
हाँ.
Everybody has, you know, sometimes there are things in your kitchen which you don't know the name.
हाँ.
But you just know कि क्या है.
क्या
Why do you
है?
know
Exactly.
Oakley? Because you've learned O से Oakley.
Yeah.
Right?
Actually मेरे घर में पता नहीं उसको कुछ और बुलाते हैं.
हाँ,
I'm
तो
not
ये तो
able
मैं
to
कह रही
remember
हूँ.
what it is. But
हाँ.
Oakley नहीं बुलाते घर
नहीं
पे.
बुलाते. But you've
कुछ और
learned
बुलाते
O
हैं.
से Oakley in Hindi
हाँ.
in school. So you know it's Oakley.
हाँ.
But I would have learned that, but I don't know
Yeah.
the Kannada word for it. So she also, what is that?
Yeah, she makes it so realistic. She's so good.
But then some of my aunts don't like it. She exaggerates. She doesn't talk like, we don't talk like that.
Of
I said,
course, because
"No,
you're not observing
you
yourself.
talk like that.
Yeah.
You
No, but
talk
that
like
happens.
that. I talk like that.
That
Even
happens.
we all do that.
Yeah.
She's got it. Danish Seth is another one.
Yeah.
Who's
Amazing.
so good with
brilliant.
accents,
Yeah.
and he's another person who.
Yeah.
When I tell my uncles, this is how you talk, beta. This is exactly how you talk.
But this is so funny because I mean, as friends also, when you enact each other, like मैं तेरी acting करके दिखाता हूँ, you become a little like defensive, like ऐसी तो नहीं हूँ मैं,
हाँ.
ऐसे तो नहीं करती. A lot of times my friends would enact me and they'd make this like really nasal voice, okay, and I know I'm very aware that I have a nasal voice, but then suddenly I'll be like, I don't have a voice like that. What do you mean?
हाँ.
Suddenly my voice will go deeper and I'll be like, ऐसे तो नहीं बात करती हूँ मैं, ऐसे क्यों चीख रही है?
Yeah.
You
But
become a
then
little defensive.
don't we all do that when
We
we're sitting
all
with
do
friends
that.
and suddenly somebody will turn around? I know, when we were in college and there was one friend of ours who lived in Karol Bagh.
Yeah.
So we used to always say, "ये वो Karol Bagh वाली आवाज मत कर."
Yeah.
Because it was
But
like,
she won't know what you mean.
she won't know, and she used to
Yeah.
get really mad at us.
Exactly.
Ki, what the hell do you mean?
Yeah.
And we were like, sorry, we didn't realize.
Yeah.
उन दिनों, of course, there was no कि sensitive होना चाहिए. ऐसे नहीं बोलना चाहिए.
नहीं बोलना चाहिए.
Hurt हो जाएंगे लोग.
Yeah.
आजकल तो नहीं. You can't say.
Yeah.
You can't call anybody's accent out because even I've noticed, which is a nice thing, is that when you see TV channels and you look at news, people speak in their own voice.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter कि
I
तुम
like
टूटी
that.
फूटी हिंदी
Yeah.
में बोल रहे हो, टूटी फूटी इंग्लिश में बोल रहे हो. That is Indian.
Yeah.
That you are speaking,
Yeah.
and that's how you do
I
it.
to only know this English only.
I to only know.
Yeah.
And people are okay with it.
And I
no?
didn't knew.
Did it? That is so typical, no? I to only know.
Yeah,
एक
yeah, yeah.
की and तो
Yeah.
वो जरूर ऐड करना होता है कि किसी में भी बोल
उसने तो बोला कि she will give it to you. English.
English. Acha, now tell me your thing. Where is your life leading you now? You keep innovating, which I love.
Thank you.
So now what are you going forward?
I think content for sure is obviously going to happen, and Instagram, YouTube videos, all of that is going to keep happening. I'm just trying my level best to obviously bring the level up, make better content that I'm more proud of. I love writing. I've realized that I enjoy writing a lot. Whether it is a small script or a
Hindi,
long
English,
script.
किसमें?
Hindi, I think
Okay.
mostly. I think it's in English because we talk in English.
But
so
you're
whatever
thinking in Hindi and or what is you thinking?
Yeah, I think a lot of times growing up, because I was so obsessed with English, I used to think like, oh, I think in English. You know
Nahi na?
how teachers ask you, what do you think in?
हाँ.
What's the language that you think in? I used to think that I think in English, but I've realized that Hindi is where my comfort lies.
Okay.
So, and I think English mostly. I write
Huh.
in English because that's what we talk in, and
Okay.
we,
So you're
converse in.
writing
So
a lot.
I'm trying to, yeah.
This is
I
your blog
also-
and your or
yeah,
scripting.
so for my Instagram, YouTube,
Huh.
and maybe for some bigger projects, if I want to do like a longer script, maybe like a short film or something,
Huh.
some planning. I'm trying to kind of get
अब
into that.
endorsements भी तो होंगे. ये एक बात
हाँ.
तो आप मान के चलो, आपको raw mango का endorsement तो नहीं मिलने वाला. That's not coming your way.
Well,
हाँ, who knows?
who knows exactly? I mean,
Right.
I never thought I'll do Colgate.
Huh.
I mean, given the kind of teeth I have.
Okay.
But it happened. So, never say no. Never
That's
say never.
true. So
Right?
you think big products will come your way because these big guys realize that you can't possibly sell everything with Sachin Tendulkar or with with
Of course, yeah. I think influencers
Shah Rukh.
as an industry, we've grown so much in the
है ना?
past 2 years.
हाँ.
Everybody has realized the importance. We are having events which are only for influencers. So you can imagine the number. Like I was literally noticing the other day that I've been to at least 2 to 3 creator events this year, which is only full of creators. There's no other guests. So only young creators, old creators, just creators. And these are like places full of people. So imagine the number of creators we have right now. That's the speed that this industry is growing at. And I think everybody, whether it is brands or people in the Bollywood industry, everybody realizes the importance and the value that influencers hold right now.
and it's totally khulla. Matlab it's not organized like the Bombay film industry.
It's not,
Or like
yeah.
Noida में news
Yeah.
channels है.
Yeah.
ऐसे कुछ नहीं है. This
ऐसा
is
है
across
ऐसा
the
नहीं है.
country,
We did
ना?
have the ASCII guidelines in the middle. We have those to follow.
What are these guidelines? Sorry.
So these guidelines are about how how transparent you have to be when you do any kind of paid promotions.
Acha.
Whether you're misleading people or not. What kind of procedures you might have to follow. You know how you see those paid partnership tags or hashtag ad. Or basically you have to make it very clear to your audience that this is a paid promotion and you're getting money to say this, so that they don't take it 100% like they don't believe you 100%, and they know there's a certain level of advertising here, right? So all of that. So definitely I feel like the industry is being acknowledged a lot more, and we are being taken more seriously, which feels great.
Okay.
But obviously it's still very unorganized, and we work at home, you know.
So what are the products that you would say कि मैं इसको तो नहीं endorse कर सकती? Like,
I think
I don't want you to take names obviously because they're sick, but just say I would like hesitate to have on my show, for example, somebody who's doing quackery. Like, you know, I would say quackery, but agar koi jadi booty bech raha hai that.
Yeah, exactly. Anything that I'm not either not going to ever use or just don't know the science behind it. Any kind of, so when it comes to products, or if it's about, like, a lot of times I don't do, you know, those rummy and all kind of things, the games, the poker games and those apps. Again, whitening, fairness, anything related to that. Mental health, if you're selling, you know. Even Women's Day. In fact, I remember last year on Women's Day, I didn't do a single campaign because I really want to see the brand do better. It should not be like the Women's Day aa gaya, we have woken up, let's do something for women, please make video, let us pay you, and then bye-bye. We don't care about women anymore. Right? So I realized, you know, whatever campaigns were coming for Women's Day were all brands who I had not personally seen them do anything for women otherwise.
वो CSR में लिखने के लिए
CSR में, exactly. And then they would pitch it as also a CSR activity. It's a CSR activity, so please do it for free.
Hi.
Or please do it for less money.
अच्छा, it comes to you ना a lot कि free content कर दो हमारे लिए.
हाँ, especially when it's CSR. NGO है ना, building, हम kids को education दे रहे हैं, but you are a multi-million-dollar company. So if you are doing this good work, why should I not get the money? I am still poor. So give me, you know, that's what I'm saying. So if it was an actual NGO trying to reach out and trying to get help, that's a different thing. But if you're a company who's a global company making millions of dollars every year, every month, why shouldn't you pay?
Yeah.
So that's where I call them out. Then I don't do such things. I'm like, your CSR activity is to you. Do it. Good for you. Looks good on your profile. Not for me. Because I know you have money to pay me. But you're not gonna. Because you're using my platform. You're using my followers. But we are not getting anything out of this.
Which actor would you really want to act with? Woman, man, anybody?
Kaun kona. If I really have to take one name, yeah, I would love to work with her. I met her at a party recently and she knew of me and I was so like, I was just mesmerized. Yeah. I mean, there's so many more names I can take, but if I really have to choose one and just choose from my heart, I think Konkona would be someone.
And who are the people who you've worked with in the Bombay film industry who you were really surprised that, you know, you didn't think of them to be something, but they turned out to be something else completely?
Oh, I mean, I've done videos with a lot of them. And I think what happens is I've done videos with them when they're doing promotions, which are already so hectic. But I've seen some of the actors do so much hard work to promote their films. And it really shows how much they care. One of them has to be Vicky Kaushal. He's so driven and he's really into his craft. Like, I remember doing a Raju ki Mummy video with him, which was a one-take wonder. Our chemistry was on fire and it was literally, I think, 3, 4, 5, 7 minutes of just one video going on and our banter. And we were very happy with it. Like, our team was very happy with it. We were very happy with it. And suddenly he goes, "Mujhe maza nahi aaya, ek baar aur kar le." That's how much he wanted it to be better and how much he wanted himself to be better. And that, I think, shows a lot. Similarly, I think, meeting Nawazuddin sir or Pankaj Tripathi sir was amazing.
Yeah.
They are also such great actors.
Yeah.
Even Kartik Aaryan is so driven. Priyanka Chopra, she has this personality.
Energy,
she
right?
She is a global icon, let's be honest, right? So when she comes into a room, she owns it.
Yeah.
There is nobody else in the room.
Okay.
Right? It's just her. Everybody's looking at her. Everybody's just in awe of her. Whether you love her, do not like her, whatever. You just cannot ignore her, right? It's that thing. So I think...
See, I'm a Delhi person.
Yeah.
So when I would go to Bombay to interview some people, like, you grow up thinking, this actor, you have a crush on that person, you're growing up, and then when you actually meet them, sit down to work with them, whatever. I mean, mine would be interview. I'd be so disappointing. And I would say, ki, kya yaar, you should never meet your crush in real life. You shouldn't. दिल टूट जाता है. वो नहीं है what they are on screen and what in real life are different. जैसे ही कैमरा ऑन हो जाता है, the magic comes on. That person transforms. And then you realize why they are the way they are.
Exactly. But for me, it's actually, I've seen that a lot, where they're professional, they have their boundaries, they're not like extremely friendly or anything. And initially, I think probably I would have thought that, oh my God, that other actor was so friendly and nice. Why is she not friendly and nice? Or why is he not friendly? But then as you grow, and because I'm just as much a part of the industry now, I'm trying to enter that industry. I also have a little fame of my own, which is different, yet it's fame. And like I said, right, I used to think that people are disappointed, meeting me. So I realized that it was also my own hypocrisy of thinking that other actor was so nice and sweet.
It's probably her firewalls.
Exactly. They are trying to safeguard themselves. They don't have to be best friends with me. It's not their job. They're here to act. They're here to do their job, which they are doing perfectly fine. So if they have a wall around them, if they're trying to safeguard their interests, that's completely okay. So I think I thankfully have not met a person who's mean or anything, especially not to me, because they have to work with me. I think it's a lot of, I've also heard talent versus talent, right? Of course, they can, I don't know if they're mean to other subordinates of their own. But at least with me, none of them have been anything of, rude or anything. But yes, the difference of maybe they're outgoing and more friendly, or maybe they are just a little guarded. That's it.
This thing about nepotism, you are also somebody from small town India, came to Delhi, bigger city, and then going to a bigger city, getting into films, and this whole question of nepotism, which has been doing the rounds. You don't have a sugar daddy, you don't have a godfather, you don't have anybody in Bombay, but you want to make it in there, right? You're ambitious. Does the big bad world scare you at times?
Yes, it really does. I'm also someone who does not know anything about networking, and I've realized how badly you need to network. Because initially I used to come from this perspective that, my work is going to speak for itself. I don't have to go around talking about it. And I just can't. But it's been a slow realization that, after a point you kind of have to. And it's not good or bad. It's not like unless you, talk to them or please them, they won't give you work. It's not like that. I think it's a lot about just putting your face to it, just meeting them so that they remember you, so that they know, this other girl is also interested in acting. Why don't we try her out? So I think it's just about that, which for me is a little hard because it doesn't come naturally to me. So when I do step into a party, I have to just like prep myself and 2 hours of networking and talking to people, and then we'll be fine.
So then do you bring out कि आज मैं ये वाली आंटी बन जाती हूँ, आज मैं वो वाली,
No, I try to be myself.
I'm good to be myself.
No, I try to be myself, just a little more like my extroverted version.
A chatty person.
A chatty version who's not like as awkward in real life. But yeah, so that is happening for sure. It does scare me a little bit because opportunities do not come as easily or as naturally to you as they would to someone who's already from the industry or from a family that belongs to the industry. At the same time, there is a different sort of, advantage that influencers have, of course, because we have a following. So a bunch of times, we will get auditions for characters because they think that not only will this person be able to do it because it's comedy, it's similar to what she already does.
Right?
Yeah, and we would also get their following. When the film releases or the show releases, right? We would tap into their following because they will be promoting the same thing. So that also happens. And it's both good and bad because
why not?
You do get an advantage. You do get your first chance to enter the industry. At the same time, you will be typecasted. They might not give you a chance to do something different from what you already do. Because they don't really take you seriously as an actor.
As Dolly Singh would be fine, no? You don't want to get typecast as sister role.
But that's what it is.
Sister role.
Typecast as best friend and sister role. Who's funny.
Funny, huh?
Right? So basically being typecasted as the funny girl. which is fine. Of course, like I said, it's opportunities. So I am not going to sit here and not realize my privilege. I do. If I'm getting these opportunities, I know a lot of actors are trying and not getting even these, right? So of course I understand that, and I'm very grateful. But at the same time, now it's like I've done so many, me and Kusha,
Best
we
friend.
call each other like Jagat best friends. You know, we always play best friends. So Jagat best friends. So at this point, it's a little bit of like craving to do a lot more,
To do more.
something different, to do something that maybe does not require you to have comedic timing.
Okay. So one more question that just struck me is that,
Yeah.
you in the middle of the podcast, we were talking about toxicity of relationships and
Yeah.
all. And I have to ask you, that influencers get a lot of hate, toxic comments coming. Now, there's this person called Uorfi, who
Yes.
wears very bizarre clothes. Her fashion sense is very shocking.
Yeah.
And the idea is to shock.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But she doesn't get the comments so much about her outfits as that she's a Muslim who's wearing this.
Yeah.
So she gets a lot of hate from Hindus and Muslims, from traditionalists and modernists.
Yeah.
And she's quite daring in that कि मेरे को नहीं फर्क पड़ता तुम्हें जो बोलना है बोलो.
Yeah, I
That's
love her.
another level,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I love her. I think an independent woman really scares the society. Anytime you see a woman being free, it scares you. Even as a woman, it scares me a little bit. Oh my God, like, is she going to be okay?
Yeah.
Is she fine? Like, why is she doing this? Why is she trying to take so much attention? Why can't she just like be under the radar? You as a woman, you have a fear. As a
Instinctively,
society, you
na?
become like, why is she like this? Why is she wearing things like this? Oh my God, she's bad. She's a bad influence. So I think personally, I mean, so many men have done this for years, getting attention or doing whatever they want to do. It's only when a woman does something she wants to do, it becomes a problem. So for sure, I feel like anyone who's calling her out, I mean, if you really do not like it, don't look at it.
Yeah.
Don't give it the attention. The problem is you are giving it the attention. And what she is doing is she's taking it. That's what she loves. And she's killing it, right? That's what she came for.
Yeah.
So here, you're the one losing, she's winning.
Yeah.
So if you really have a problem, move on. Move on to other things.
There were these films which were made about Bombay and how people go to funerals and chautha. Do you remember that?
We've talked
कि वो
about that.
सफेद वाले कपड़े
Yeah.
पहन के, and you did a content thing also
Yeah,
on
we
that.
we did.
कि इतना मेकअप भी नहीं डालना और इतना
Yeah.
रोना भी नहीं, और मतलब जो ज्यादा रो रहे हैं वो डॉटर इन लॉ नहीं हो सकती, वो डॉटर है. और मतलब एक तरह होता है ड्रेस करने का,
Yeah.
for chauthas in Delhi and Bombay.
They have a full closet, just for this.
for
Full of
chauthas.
whites.
Full of whites and a
Yeah.
particular, मतलब वो
From
white.
raw mango and good earth.
Okay. It has to be dressed right for the.
Oh, of course. I feel like, I remember when I went to meet a friend whose grandmother had recently passed, and it was my first time meeting someone, as an adult, like, you feel like, oh God, someone has died and I have to go meet their family and all of
क्या
that.
बोलूंगी?
उससे पहले तो तुम बच्चे होते हो, all your parents are doing all of this,
हाँ,
right? But this was the first time I went and I wore red. My friend later, like, it was fine. And then when he was dropping me back to my cab, he's like, जब किसी के घर में death होती है, तो bright colors नहीं पहनते.
हाँ.
So I was very sweetly told. But people like these are very, very particular about what they want to wear. The sunglasses also have to be on point.
Huh.
Which Prada, which Burberry glasses do they want to wear? And then all their whites have to be nice. Even in the whites, it's like, which designer do I want to wear today? Who deserves what?
To tell these people who sit there with their hate comments. I did a podcast on mental health.
Yeah,
The
I saw,
first
yeah.
comment, Dolly was like, ये तो सिर्फ पैसे बनाने का खेल है.
Yeah.
I'm bringing
This is
that voice
ये आजकल के नए चोचले हैं.
हाँ, नए चोचले. अपने चक्रों को अलाइन कर लो तो आपको कोई मेंटल इलनेस नहीं होगी.
हाँ, ये
मैं चक्रों को कहाँ से अलाइन
ये तो
करूं?
सिर्फ तुम्हारे दिमाग में चल रहा है यार, ऐसा असली में थोड़ी होता है.
हाँ.
मेंटल हेल्थ.
ये धंधा बना लिया है लोगों ने.
हाँ.
And then there'll be some people who'll say, you are encouraging women to do this. जिनके पास mental issues होंगे भी नहीं, वो सोचेंगे कि है.
हाँ, exactly. I mean, everything is a problem. You say, I love myself, I have self-love. Makeup क्यों लगाती हो फिर? अरे तो how are the two things related? नहीं फिर मेकअप क्यों लगाती हो? अगर तुम्हें अपने से इतना प्यार है तो फिर ऐसे ही घूमो ना. Okay. All right. People who are like, you know how big girls are doing like, you know, body positivity and all. Fat shape, वो तुम promote कर रही हो fat. तुम तो चाहती हो कि सब unhealthy हो जाए. अरे भैया, she's just saying that she likes her body, she's happy in her body. Of course, she'll work to be fit whenever she wants to and if she feels like it, if her body requires it. But इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि वो promote कर रही है obesity. Like, you know, people have.
तो जब वो comment आता है ना, you are manifesting a voice to that, aren't you?
And I'm giving it a creepy, stupid voice because that's exactly what they would sound like, I imagine.
When they say to you also, पतली है खाना नहीं खाती, I'm sure,
खाना नहीं मिलता क्या दीदी, खाना खा लो. तो भैया भेज दो आप. मैं तो बोल देती हूँ भैया भेज दो, मेरे पास पैसे नहीं है.
So they say that to you कि बहुत पतली है.
Malnutrition,
not mal.
Yeah.
माल.
कुपोषण का शिकार.
Okay, so that also comes your way. और क्या फैशन के लिए पतली है?
हाँ, बिल्कुल नहीं खाते. हवा आएगी उड़ जाओगी.
Oh God.
You know, stuff like that. But I mean, now it's funny to me because now I don't care. Of course, it can get to you sometimes.
Did they tell you कि roles नहीं मिलेंगे क्योंकि you're too thin, too fat?
I mean, roles नहीं मिलेंगे तो बहुत reason. दांत ऐसे है तुम्हारे, दांत ठीक करा लो. तुम्हारी नाक ऐसी है, तुम्हारे गाल ऐसे. They will have all the reasons in the world. I feel like no matter what you say, especially right now on the internet, because I feel like as you know how internet is both a bane and a boon and all of that. So pros and cons are always there. So while it is, you know, connecting all of us and we have social media has brought us so much good, but it's also bringing the bad out of people. The fact that they can anonymously say things to each other and not get anything out of it, right? Like I can't really find this person and do something to them. All I can do to keep my own sanity is to ignore them.
Yeah.
And that's honestly a little sad.
Yeah.
Right? But that's what I'm saying, that because of this whole thing, there's been such an increase of these kind of comments, not just to me, but like everybody around that I see, whether it is celebrities or influencers or even random people on the internet who don't even have these professions, not even calling for this attention, are getting that attention. We get these unsolicited pics from men, demands, random creepy messages, stalking, you know. It's just a sad state of affairs.
Yeah,
it does sometimes, you know. I've had instances where I'm traveling and someone would take a sneaky video and post it or message it to me that I saw you. I mean, just say hi. Just come and say hi to my face. Don't be a little creep.
Yeah.
Don't take these stalkish, you know, these videos of me where I'm not aware that I'm being recorded.
Yeah.
Yeah, but internet has made that happen.
Young girls getting into the profession, would you tell them to become content creators, to do videos, to get into the film industry, or you just say, be very, very strong, and if you're not, it's going to get tough?
No, I'm not going to say that. I think it's very important. Both the fields are amazing. And if you are someone who's interested in it, definitely go for it. I think there is no better time. Right now is a great time because we are having these debates. We're talking about nepotism. We are challenging all of these things that have already existed for years and years and centuries, right? So this is actually the greatest time to be a content creator or to try acting or all of these things. And I feel like all the girls who have these aspirations, I would definitely push them to come forward and try their hand at it. Of course, what I would suggest is just to try to safeguard their own interest. Have a close group of friends or family, someone you can confide in. Don't let social media be the only place that you go and come back from. Have a life. Like even right now, even I am trying to have that. Like I realized in the last year that I was doing nothing else but social media. And I was doing nothing else but make videos. There was no life. I was not learning anything new. I was not traveling much. I didn't have much going on in my life except for this. So it also becomes, and that honestly is true for every profession, that sometimes treat your work as work and not let it be your whole life, which is very important. So what I would suggest to young girls would be just to safeguard their own interest a little bit. Be aware of their rights, be aware of what they can do, what they can't do, what people can do to them and can't do. All of these things is very important. And in the end, just feel free. Chase your dreams. Don't hold yourself back. No matter where you come from, what kind of money you come from. It's a great time. Even if you have a small phone, and internet on it, it's fine. That's all you need.
So
right?
where does Dolly Singh want to go, say 2 years from now, 5 years from now?
I definitely want to act more. I have a film that will hopefully release next year. We
Okay,
finish
that's
shooting
nice.
this year. Yeah. So that is happening. I'm auditioning a lot more. Another thing that is happening with me is I've just launched a mini collection of candles that I've made from scratch and not made myself. There's a brand involved, but unki wo collection puri maine conceptualize kiya, and I did this one very weird video about like, have you seen candle names these days? Kuch bhi likha hota hai unpe. Old books, barish, cafe, cappuccino. So I realized that candle names these days are very funny. They write whatever. So I was like, agar whatever hi likhna hai, to fir let's make it fun. And I did that video where I was like, it should be like Vicky Kaushal's armpits. I'd like to smell that.
Have a candle.
or like Golgappa.
Huh.
Or like Paisa.
Okay, imagine if I have a candle
Scent
in my,
of money.
I'm doing a party, Dolly, and I've bought your candle and it's called Golgappa. और मैं लगाऊं और मैं Golgappa ना serve करूं तो
बहुत बुरा होगा आपके
बहुत
साथ.
बुरा होगा, right? So
Everybody will be craving that and not
So
having
what are
it.
the other names?
So now, I mean, those were the names that I put in the video, and then the brand reached out to me and we did a collection together, which was very nice. So now we have names like Sacha Pyar.
Yeeks. That sounds really pathetic.
I know, but sometimes you need that energy in your life.
Sacha
अच्छा
pyar.
आप लेना 25 दिन में पैसा double.
हाँ. Yes.
Right?
Can I buy a dozen of those, please?
And I also have a candle called Nazar Blocker.
Okay.
Because I've realized कि जितना मैं बढ़ती जा रही हूँ ना, उतना मेरा ये behavior बढ़ता जा रहा है कि नजर लग गई यार.
हाँ.
मेरे को तो किसी की नजर लग गई है, बाल इतने झड़े, नजर लग गई है. I always used to be like, मम्मी क्या बोल रहे हो आप ये? Now I am like this. Uff, touch wood.
हाँ. Oh God, everybody becomes like that.
Everybody, because I feel like also after a point when you have something to lose, you become more like, नजर लग गई होगी यार, कुछ तो गड़बड़ है, evil eye.
जब कुछ नहीं है तो फिर क्या नजर लगेगी?
Yeah, so we've kept those names, and obviously the candles are great.
So Dolly, what do you feel coming on ANI podcast with Smita Prakash? And I want you to say that Raju की मम्मी की आवाज में कैसे लगा आपको?
उसके लिए मुझे अपना सर ढकना पड़ेगा.
हाँ.
बहुत अच्छा लगा मुझे यहाँ आके. इतनी प्यारी प्यारी आपसे मैंने स्मिता जी बात करी है. नए पॉडकास्ट पे आई हूँ, पहली बार पॉडकास्ट करा है. मेरी आवाज़ शायद कुछ लोगों के कानों में लग रही होगी, पर कोई बात नहीं. बहुत मज़ा आया मुझे. अब मैं जाती हूँ, मेरे चाय का वक्त हो गया है और राजू की पढ़ाई का वक्त हो गया है. मैं निकलती हूँ यहाँ से. थैंक यू स्मिता जी.
डिजाइनर चप्पल तो आप फेंकेगी नहीं.
ये तो नहीं फेंक सकती, बहुत महंगी है भैया. 11-12 से ली है मैंने. चलो बाय.
And if you were to say this in Shanaya's mummy's voice?
It's my Chanel shoes that I got last time from Paris. Suneeta लेके आई थी हमारे लिए. I don't shop for myself anymore. I just approve.
Oh my God, you're so good. You're so fabulous.
Thank you.
So fabulous. Thank you so much.
Let's do that. Guruji.
How do you do that? How do you do that? You really sound like somebody who's saying Guruji.
But one thing I used to always find funny that, I'm playing these South Delhi characters and my teeth are still like like any South Delhi person who has money will fix this first.
Thank you so much for speaking with me,
Smita.
Dolly.
Thank
All
you
the
so
best
much.
to you.
Thank
and I
you.
hope you get great success.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be finally here and doing this with you. It was such a beautiful conversation.
Thank you. Thank you for watching or listening to this podcast where I spoke with Dolly Singh. I hope you like and subscribe on whichever channel you have seen this or heard this. Namaste, Jai Hind.